While every crypto influencer is screaming about the next meme coin, Moonshot, the World Economic Forum just quietly positioned a single technology as the backbone of tomorrow's digital economy. And you've probably never heard of it. Right now, financial headlines are obsessing over Bitcoin ETF approvals. Market analysts are dissecting every Ethereum upgrade like it's breaking news. Crypto Twitter's chasing speculative tokens with the same fever we saw in 2021. But here's what's actually happening behind the scenes. Something monumental just unfolded, and it's flying completely under the radar. The World Economic Forum, the very institution that shapes global financial policy and brings together central bankers, world leaders, and trillion-dollar CEOs every January in Davos, just strategically referenced a technology in their digital infrastructure blueprint, a technology most retail investors are completely ignoring. That technology? Hedera Hashgraph. No flashy marketing campaigns, no celebrity endorsements, no empty promises about revolutionizing everything overnight. Just methodical execution supported by some of the planet's most influential institutions. And here's why this moment is fundamentally different. When the WEF mentions a technology, it's never accidental. It's strategic positioning. It's a signal. It's a glimpse into the infrastructure they believe will power the fourth industrial revolution, that fusion of physical, digital, and biological systems they've been mapping out for years. And now, Hedera has officially entered that conversation. If you're already holding HBAR, you might want to pay attention. If you're not, this could be worth investigating. Because we're not just talking about another cryptocurrency play. We're talking about the foundational architecture of tomorrow's global systems: digital identity, cross-border payments, supply chain verification, carbon markets, healthcare records, governance frameworks, all of it. The world's infrastructure is being digitally reconstructed in real time. And while everyone's fixated on price charts, HBAR is being embedded into the foundation itself. What the WEF just acknowledged isn't just noteworthy, it's potentially game-changing. And we need to examine exactly what happened. Let's break down precisely what the World Economic Forum revealed, because this isn't speculation or wishful thinking. It's documented fact. In their recent publications outlining technological frameworks for the fourth industrial revolution, that convergence of artificial intelligence, digital identity, central bank digital currencies, and comprehensive asset tokenization, there's a deliberate but understated reference to Hedera Hashgraph. Not positioned among typical cryptocurrencies, not listed as a blockchain experiment, but categorized alongside enterprise-grade infrastructure solutions. Technologies that governments and multinational corporations actually trust. Think about that for a moment. The same organization that influenced global policy during recent crises. The same think tank that hosts IMF directors, central bank governors, and CEOs of companies worth trillions of dollars every year at their exclusive Davos gatherings. They just acknowledged Hedera as a viable, scalable, and efficient framework for digital governance and data integrity on a global scale. This wasn't a promotional spotlight, it was a strategic acknowledgement. No fanfare, no media campaign, no announcement, just a quiet validation from one of the world's most influential policy-shaping institutions. Why does this matter so much? Because the WEF doesn't make casual references. They don't speculate like retail traders. They collaborate with central banks, regulatory authorities, and global corporations to design long-term operational frameworks. Frameworks that determine how entire economies will function. So when they position Hedera alongside established enterprise solutions like Hyperledger, IBM Blockchain, and Consensus, that's absolutely intentional. It signals that Hedera isn't being viewed as just another digital asset, it's being evaluated as fundamental infrastructure. The same way highways, electrical grids, and internet protocols were assessed during previous technological revolutions. Now, you might be wondering, what's the significance of being referenced in a WEF report? Here's exactly why it's crucial. Because the World Economic Forum doesn't just analyze the future, they actively help architect it. This is the same institution that's been guiding governmental policy for decades. The same forum that collaborated with the IMF to shape central bank digital currency frameworks. The same organization that introduced the concept of coordinated global economic transformation, not as conspiracy theory, but as documented economic strategy that's already underway. So when the WEF signals confidence in a technology like Hedera Hashgraph, it's not market speculation, it's strategic preparation. It's insight into the tools they're considering for the next phase of digital infrastructure development. Because, let's be completely clear, they're not trying to identify the next viral meme coin. They're not speculating on short-term price movements. They're planning how global systems will communicate, transact, authenticate, and secure data over the coming decades. And for that mission, you need more than just a blockchain. You need something capable of handling billions of real-time transactions, secure enough to protect national data infrastructure, scalable enough to accommodate smart cities, AI networks, CBDCs, and IoT ecosystems, environmentally sustainable enough to meet the world's most stringent climate goals. And that's precisely where Hedera Hashgraph quietly distinguishes itself. It's not just faster than traditional blockchains, it's architecturally different. It doesn't rely on conventional blockchain mechanics. Instead, it operates on a Hashgraph consensus algorithm, .next generation distributed ledger technology that doesn't bundle transactions into blocks, but spreads information through what's called gossip about gossip. Complex? Absolutely. But here's what it delivers. Hedera achieves transaction finality in seconds. No energy-intensive mining, no network congestion, no transaction backlogs. Just efficient, secure, and rapid consensus, exactly the type of technology that governments and enterprises can actually implement. And that's precisely why the WEF's quiet endorsement should grab attention. Because this isn't about cryptocurrency speculation anymore. It's about strategic positioning. Positioning for a future where digital identity, international payments, verified data, tokenized assets, and automated governance all require a shared trust infrastructure, and HBAR is being considered as a potential foundation. This isn't hype. It's systematic architecture, and it's happening right now while most people are completely distracted. Let's be honest, Hedera isn't trying to be the loudest voice in the room. It doesn't need to be. Because while others chase headlines, Hedera is pursuing real-world adoption, and the results speak for themselves. Hedera Hashgraph isn't a traditional blockchain at all. Actually, it's built on completely different technological foundations. Hashgraph technology, a distributed consensus algorithm that delivers extraordinary speed, enterprise-level security, fair transaction ordering, and finality within seconds. We're discussing over 10,000 transactions per second without compromising decentralization or energy efficiency. No miners competing for block rewards, no validators racing for transaction fees. Just lightweight, cost-effective, environmentally friendly consensus designed specifically for enterprise-scale performance. And speaking of enterprise adoption, look at who's governing the Hedera network: Google, IBM, LG Electronics, Boeing, Standard Bank, Shinhan Bank, Dell Technologies, Ubisoft, DLA Piper, not just crypto-native startups. Global industry leaders across technology, finance, legal services, gaming, aviation, and telecommunications, all collaborating to govern the Hedera ecosystem. This isn't decentralization through buzzwords. This is structured, rotational governance from some of the most trusted and powerful institutions worldwide. Each organization operates a network node. Each has governance input. No single entity controls the system. Here's what's quietly happening behind the scenes that most people don't realize. HBAR is being implemented right now in real-world applications across mission-critical industries. In supply chain verification, companies are using Hedera to authenticate product origins from manufacturer to consumer. In ESG reporting, organizations are anchoring carbon emission data directly onto the Hashgraph for immutable environmental tracking. In decentralized identity systems, governments are testing credential verification and issuance on Hedera's infrastructure. In tokenized asset management, financial institutions are representing real estate, commodities, and securities digitally. Even in healthcare applications, Hedera is being used to timestamp and secure sensitive patient information. This is infrastructure-level adoption, not retail speculation. HBAR isn't being developed for day traders. It's being integrated into the systems that traders, governments, and corporations all depend on. And now, with the World Economic Forum incorporating Hedera into their long-term strategic vision, the trajectory becomes even clearer. This isn't about quick profits. This is about long-term positioning, embedding Hedera into the fundamental architecture of a digital-first, tokenized global economy. It's not trying to replace existing currencies. It's not promising to be your next moonshot investment. It's working to become the invisible infrastructure that powers everything else. And so far, it's succeeding, quietly, efficiently, and internationally. Now let's expand our perspective, because this transcends any individual token, project, or investment opportunity. We're living through a once-in-a-generation transformation. A shift from the traditional world built on paper documentation, trust-based systems, and isolated databases to a new global framework powered by automation, real-time data verification, digital identity, and tokenized value exchange. The fourth industrial revolution isn't approaching, it's already here. And it requires completely new infrastructure that's instantaneous, transparent, tamper-proof, sustainable, and globally interoperable. Honestly, most existing blockchains weren't designed for this reality. They were built to disrupt legacy systems. Hedera was built to integrate with them. That's why governments, financial institutions, corporations, and NGOs are increasingly turning to Hedera, not for disruption, but for practical solutions. Because the emerging financial system will need to support central bank digital currencies, smart contracts that don't fail under heavy load, legal agreements anchored on immutable ledgers, real-time ESG data for carbon credit verification, and secure decentralized identities for global citizens and refugees. Behind all of that infrastructure, you need absolute trust. Trust that can't be manipulated, falsified, or compromised. That's exactly what distributed ledgers provide. And that's precisely why the World Economic Forum is examining platforms like Hedera so closely. But here's what makes HBAR different from other solutions. It doesn't just promise the future, it's already powering it. HBAR is being used by the United Nations to track sustainable development goals. It's being tested in central bank digital currency simulations. It's helping governments issue digital credentials and documentation. It's enabling tokenization of carbon markets, real estate assets, and intellectual property right now. This is no longer theoretical. This is practical implementation happening beneath the headlines and market noise. So when the WEF quietly references Hedera in their digital infrastructure roadmap, they're not making a casual observation. They're pointing toward the blueprint of the next global system. A system where value transfers seamlessly across borders, where contracts execute automatically without legal intermediaries, where identity is portable, secure, and verifiable anywhere, and where trust is built directly into the technology itself, not added as an afterthought. And in that world, Hedera Hashgraph isn't just a participant. It's foundational infrastructure. This isn't about HBAR's price performance. It's about understanding where the world is heading and recognizing who's helping build it. There are moments in history when everything shifts. And you guys, I have a special trick for you which nobody seems to be using, and I cannot wrap my head around why. Because if you sign up through my link down in the description onto the BTCC exchange, you get a 10% deposit bonus. And now stay with me here. Now here comes the important part. If you have any trading capital on any other exchange and you move it to your newly created BTCC account, you get on top of your capital, you moved another 10% extra trading capital. As an example, if you move or deposit a 100K to your account, you get 10K for free. I am not kidding. I really don't understand why nobody is doing this. To me, it really seems like people sometimes are too lazy or just don't like free money. I mean, like, I cannot make that account for you will need to that yourself. All right, let's jump back into the video. Moments when the world quietly transforms beneath our feet, but no one notices until it's already happened. We're in one of those moments right now. While debates rage over interest rates, inflation trends, and market cycles, while influencers promote speculative tokens, and while traders obsess over red and green candles, something far more significant is developing. A complete re-architecture of how value moves globally, how trust gets established, how identity gets verified, how entire economies operate. And then this silent reconstruction, Hedera Hashgraph, isn't waiting for permission. It's already being integrated into tomorrow's digital foundation. Not because it's trendy, not because it's popular, but because it works efficiently, securely, and at scale. And now, with the World Economic Forum quietly incorporating it into their future blueprint, the message is unmistakable. HBAR isn't the next trend. It's the infrastructure beneath the trends. The quiet technology behind the user interface. The foundational system that governments, enterprises, and institutions are starting to trust, even before mainstream adoption begins. Consider this for a moment. Think about how the internet was once dismissed as a passing fad, how Amazon was just an online bookstore, how Bitcoin was ridiculed by traditional banks, and how those who recognized the underlying architecture early before it became mainstream were the ones who shaped the next era. This is that moment again. Right now, most people are focused on surface level noise, distractions, speculation. They're chasing quick returns. But history doesn't reward the loud. It rewards the positioned, the patient, the ones who identified the architecture forming before the skyline became visible. So ask yourself this: when central banks launch fully digital currencies, when supply chains operate on distributed ledgers instead of paperwork, when your identity, property deed, health records, and assets all exist on decentralized infrastructure, what technology will be trusted to secure them? Who will be powering that trust layer? The WEF just gave you a major clue. Hedera is already integrated, already operational, already delivering, not promising, executing, and perhaps, just perhaps, this isn't about being early to a cryptocurrency. Maybe it's about understanding the invisible systems the world will depend on. Maybe it's about recognizing the foundation while it's still being built. So here's the reality. The financial reset isn't coming. It's already underway. The only question remaining is, will you be part of the system that gets replaced or part of the system that replaces it? Time is running out. The infrastructure is being finalized. The foundation is being set. And Hedera Hashgraph is already embedded in the concrete. If this opened your eyes to what's really happening beneath the crypto noise, smash that like button and subscribe. Because while everyone else is chasing the next pump, we're tracking the technologies that'll power the next decade. What's your take on Hedera's quiet institutional adoption? Drop your thoughts below.